These are the waiver wire pickups for Week 11. First up is Marquez Valdez Scantling. I guess one man's trash really is another man's treasure. This man was just cut by the Bills 3 weeks ago, and in his second game as a Saint, he stepped up big, catching 3 balls for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. With how decimated the Saints are at receiver and how much Derek Carr loves to push the ball downfield, Valdez Scantling could have some value down the stretch. He's poised to step into that deep threat role Rashid Shaheed left behind, and he could be a boom-bust WR3 for the rest of the season. If you do pick him up, just remember that his production will be volatile, and he has struggled with drops in the past. Number 2 on the list is Rashad Baitman. Bateman finished this week with 6 receptions for 54 yards and 1 touchdown. I'm typically pretty leery of trusting him, just given his injury history and his role on the team, but this year seems to be a bit different. He hasn't seen any less than 4 targets in every game but 1, and he seems to have a somewhat consistent role in this offense. It's a bit difficult to tell where he falls in the pecking order between Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, and the newly acquired Deontay Johnson, but he does have a solid ceiling, and if he can handle some volatility, he may be worth an add. Number 3 on the list is Ricky Pearsall. Pearsall finished today with 4 receptions for 73 yards, and he scored his first touchdown as a pro. And over the last 2 weeks, he has 9 touches for 150 yards along with this 1 score. This is likely his ceiling moving forward. He'll see somewhere around 6 or 7 targets and should have around 4 or 5 grabs. He's poised to settle in as the number 4 pass catcher behind Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Juwan Jennings. And next week, he goes up against the Seattle team that has been very vulnerable through the air in recent weeks. So if you're looking for a receiver to add speculatively or looking for a streaming option next week, he's someone to consider. Number 4 on the list is Trey Benson. After racking up 55 yards last week and scoring his first touchdown as a pro, he followed it up with another productive outing, taking 12 touches for 87 yards. He routinely showed his power and shed tacklers, which is what made him so exciting coming out of Florida State. He's one of the most elite handcuffs in fantasy right now, and it seems as though he's starting to carve out some standalone value. The Cardinals have steadily increased his workload, and they seem to want to get him integrated as they make a playoff push, and if James Conner would have missed any time, he would be an immediate RB1. Number 5 on the list is Gus Edwards. After missing the last 6 weeks on IR with an ankle injury, Edwards returned to the lineup today and had 10 carries for 55 yards. He's definitely started off the year a bit slow, but he could have a strong finish just given his touchdown potential. He'll likely continue to play behind J.K. Dobbins, but as we've seen in years past, a Greg Roman offense can support more than one running back. At this point, he's probably a slightly better add in standard leagues just due to his lack of involvement in the passing game. Number 6 on the list is Mack Holland. With both Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman missing this game with wrist injuries, Holland stepped up and ended up leading the Bills in receiving, getting 4 receptions for 86 yards. Dalton Kincaid also left this game with a knee injury, so Hollins may have some value for the next couple of weeks. Cooper's wearing a cast on his wrist at this point, and Coleman is week to week, and behind Khalil Shakir, the number 2 pass catching role is currently up for grabs. At this point, he's more of a boom-bust WR4 in deeper leagues, with his value being tied to the health of the other pass catchers. Staying in Buffalo, number 7 on the list is Dawson Knox. Like I mentioned, Dalton Kincaid left this game with a knee injury, which allowed Knox to step up, and he ended up finishing the game with 2 receptions for 40 yards. And with the Chiefs on tap, Kincaid may push to play, but if he were to miss, Knox would have some value as a touchdown-dependent TE2. Number 8 on the list is John Mechie. First off, what a great story. This guy missed his rookie season with leukemia, and it seems as though he might finally get to show people why he was a second-round pick 3 years ago. He finished today with 5 receptions for 74 yards and 1 touchdown, and at this point, he's pretty much a speculative add. With how many mouths there are to feed in Houston, it's hard to know where he fits in between Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, and even Joe Mixon. Number 9 on the list is Mike Williams. Things were looking pretty grim for the newly acquired Steeler. He was carrying a bagel into the final 2 minutes of the game, but things turned around in a hurry when he ended up catching what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown. His role should continue to grow down the stretch. At this stage of his career, he doesn't really create a lot of separation, but he's still one of the best 50-50 ball guys in the league, and with Russell Wilson loving to throw the moon ball, there's a good chance he sees 2 to 3 deep targets a game from here on out. Number 10 on the list is Adon Mitchell. Mitchell turned in his best performance as a pro, getting 6 grabs for 71 yards. He benefited from Michael Pittman being ruled out of this game with a back injury, and this injury has plagued Pittman all year. He almost went on IR, and he's considered week to week at this point. With Mitchell being 3rd in the pecking order behind Josh Downs and Alec Pierce, this game may have been a bit of an outlier, making him more of a speculative add. Those are the waiver wire pickups for week 11. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and let me know which players you think we should pick up in the comments below.